Here is Immortal Moments for explanation. Friends, like videos and subscribes to our channel. Swallowed Star 2 Land of Origin Part 111 Explanation. So let's start our explanation. The time-space of the infinite primordial space is incredibly fragile before Luo Feng, with the highest level of life and death forces easily tearing open a time travel passage. Luo Feng swiftly departed from the origin continent origin world at incredible speed, and in just a moment, Luo Feng flew out of the entire Dark World group. Boom! Luo Feng is flying at super high speed. A world group is an area where many source worlds densely exist, and such places are regarded as prosperous zones, nurturing a large number of innate primordial life. However, between world groups, it is extremely desolate, with hardly any creatures except in a few peculiar environments. And the 3,600 world groups is the area with the most source worlds and the closest distance chosen by the cultivator lords. Compared to those ancestors, my speed is quite fast. But compared to Starlight, it's far inferior. Luo Feng has the experience of traveling with Starlight. Starlight, as if walking on a map, transcends time and space. My traveling speed is too slow. The Blood Crane territory is somewhat troublesome. While traveling, Luo Feng pondered about this opponent. The Blood Crane territory is a relatively small force in the entire infinite primordial space, a force nurtured by a mysterious land. This mysterious land has nurtured numerous creatures, among them the three strongest beings are at ancestor level, calling themselves Blood Lord, Crane Lord, and Shadow Lord. The remaining creatures are world-level primordial and even weaker levels. Infinite primordial space has nurtured many ancient existences, but many don't consider themselves part of the innate primordial camp. Luo Feng thought. Especially the undying and undying beings, who are detached and are unwilling to get involved in the disputes of the innate primordial camp. Like the absolute sphere named Initial, and another absolute cube named Mo-Man. Their forms of existence are similar, both quite peculiar. But Initial considers itself part of the innate primordial and has become one of the 9 emperors. Meanwhile, Mo-Man couldn't care less about the innate primordial camp. There are also many tribes nurtured by mysterious lands. The Blood Crane territory has nurtured the Blood Crane territory clan. The Feather Realm has nurtured the Feather Realm clan, among them the Undying and Undying Feather Emperor. The Giant God Realm has nurtured the Giant God race. The Infinite World has nurtured the Infinite Great Serpent clan. Their strengths vary, but in essence, there's not much difference. However, the first two haven't joined the innate primordial camp, whereas the latter two have become the 2 holy lands of the innate primordial camp. The best food for the Infinite Great Serpent clan is the Source World origin, and the Source World is the home of cultivators. To contend with the cultivator camp, the Infinite Great Serpent clan must leverage the entire innate primordial camp. Although the Giant God Realm doesn't care about the Source World origin, it does care about other resources. Relying solely on absorbing primordial force for growth is too slow. If one forcibly consolidated various forces into the innate primordial camp, they would have fought internally long ago. Luo Feng thought, the Giant God race doesn't like disputes, and can tolerate the Infinite Great Serpent clan. Would other undying and undying existences be willing to bow down before the Infinite Snake Ancestor? After spending more than 10 days, Luo Feng reached the border of the cultivator territory, following invisible life sensing, heading directly towards the Shadow Lord of the Blood Crane territory. Among the Blood Crane territory clan, the Blood Lord is low-key, rarely showing up. The Crane Lord can be considered peaceful, but only the Shadow Lord is the most domineering. Luo Feng had already known about this figure. The one occupying the cultivator territory was led by this Shadow Lord with some of their tribe. Luo Feng stopped in a vast void, looking from afar. He had already locked onto the location of the Shadow Lord through the life chi mechanism, who at this moment was fused into the vast space, occupying an enormous region. So it is Lord Luo Feng who has arrived. A voice echoed around. You 8 cultivator lords are occupying a total of 3,600 world groups, isn't that too greedy? I only took 16 world groups, is that not excessive? Shadow Lord of the Blood Crane territory, you have quite the nerve. Luo Feng said. Previously, As the war on the cultivators' side was seemingly losing, the Ice Peak camp and a few other forces took the opportunity to occupy some world groups. But after the war ended, some weaker forces voluntarily retreated. Only a very few were unwilling to withdraw. They all had some reliance. I am also helping you. That voice traveled from different time spaces. Because you occupy too much territory, you provoke the innate primordial camp to act. If you occupied less territory, wouldn't there be much less trouble? Luo Feng coldly surveyed all directions. The opponent's force permeated everywhere. HMPH. With a single thought, centered around Luo Feng, the vast realm of life and death enveloped all directions, crushing every space-time, destroying all hidden shadows in the space-time, forcing these shadows to converge into a massive figure in the distance. It was a towering shadow, with blood-red eyes gazing at Luo Feng. I told you to withdraw before, and you didn't. Luo Feng coldly looked at him. Now you have only one path left. Obediently hand over all the resources you occupied in the cultivator territory, and further compensate with 3 times the resources, and promise never to offend the cultivator territory in the future by a fraction. All the resources I painstakingly seized are to be given to you, along with triple compensation. The vast shadow burst into a peculiar laugh. He, interesting, interesting. All those I invaded from other forces, I have never suffered a loss. Lord Luo Feng, with you acting like this, I am very displeased. These 16 world groups seem too few to me now. I want to take over 32 world groups, the vast shadow stated. Otherwise, I will keep an eye on your cultivator territory eternally, attacking again and again, without rest. The voice of the shadow echoed in the surrounding space-time. I would like to see what your cultivator camp's 8 lords can do to me. The blood-red eyes of the vast shadow were filled with ferocity, though none of the 3 lords of Blood Crane territory had reached the level of undying. These ancient existences had some life-saving methods. The Shadow Lord, with confidence in his life-saving abilities, behaved so domineeringly and aggressively. Previously bullying some weaker forces, this time he bullied the cultivator camp. Very well. Luo Feng stood there, his gaze turned cold. Boom! Centered on Luo Feng, in an instant, a billion blade lights burst out from the surface of his body. All the blade lights locked onto the body of the Shadow Lord through life sensing. In the battles between the 2 major camps, it was the highest intensity duel in the infinite primordial space. Normally, the ancestors played a minimal role, and even the ordinary moves of the cultivator lords like Jin and Mo Man were weak. Only burning the main battle avatars could influence the battle situation. Luo Feng was the same back then. Many ordinary methods were useless. They were annihilated in the face of the multi-layered domains and power of both sides, unable to penetrate the opponent's camp. But now it was one-on-one. Luo Feng's move combined of life and death. Even if it was ordinary among the lords, when it descended on the Shadow Lord, it still made the Shadow Lord feel that innumerable blade lights were cutting and annihilating his body. What move is this? I can't even dodge. The Shadow Lord was somewhat panicked. Even though he mastered the highest level shadow force, making himself like a shadow, capable of merging into space-time, capable of merging into all things, but the endless blade light of Luo Feng still annihilated all life composition parts of him by chasing down life chi mechanism, leaving the Shadow Lord with nowhere to escape. Truly weak. Luo Feng had just become a lord, faced the intensity of battles between the 2 major camps, and now only found this Shadow Lord too weak. Merge? Numerous forces were annihilated. The Shadow Lord could only merge his life forces, with sufficient strength, to resist these billion blade lights. Merged? Luo Feng instantly locked onto the enemy. A brilliant blade light flared. Luo Feng struck. With a terrifying slash following the life chi mechanism, the Shadow Lord could not evade and was pierced through the chest by one slash. Even the escaping power was pierced by strands of blade light. The might of Luo Feng's slash was too terrifying, forcibly annihilating this body of the Shadow Lord, leaving behind only some treasures and such. No life core carried. Luo Feng looked at this scene, and frowned slightly. This was within his expectations. This was also why he found the Blood Crane territory troublesome. In the infinite primordial space, some ancestor-level existences. They lack the ability of undying, and thus have developed other life-saving methods. For example, not carrying their life core, hiding it in extremely hard-to-find special places. Though in this way, the avatar that acts outside might only have 30% of its strength. But 30% of an ancestor's strength is enough to sweep through all creatures below ancestor, enough to act as they please. The life cores of the three lords of Blood Crane territory are all hidden deep within their native Blood Crane territory. No one so far has found their life cores. Swoosh! A wisp of thought descended from afar. A shadow avatar appeared and condensed. It was the avatar of the Shadow Lord. Luo Feng. The Shadow Lord looked at Luo Feng, angrily said, "If you return all my treasures, I might spare you, and stop coming to the cultivated territory." "Give you the treasures?" Luo Feng had already gathered the spoils of war. Most of these spoils of war were the various resources seized from the cultivated territory. "You're dreaming." "Luo Feng. I won't let it slide." The Shadow Lord was furious. "I will come to your cultivated territory again and again, rob again and again, let you never have peace. Everything I lost, I will take back." I heard that to this day, no one has been able to find your life course deep within the mysterious land of Blood Crane territory and completely wipe you out. Luo Feng looked at the avatar of the Shadow Lord. "I would like to give it a try." "Just you." The Shadow Lord was disdainful. He was very confident in his strength, very confident in the Blood Crane territory that nurtured him. The power of the mysterious land of Blood Crane territory is far beyond what a few ancestors can match. "If you have the guts, just come." The Shadow Lord sneered. After saying that, this wisp of avatar dispersed. Blood Crane territory? Luo Feng knew very well that defeating one avatar of the Shadow Lord was not enough to threaten him. The opponent could breed a new powerful avatar and send it once again. The way to truly deter the opponent is to attack the opponent's lair. I really want to see what is so remarkable about this Blood Crane territory. Luo Feng thought, then tore the space-time passage apart, immediately starting to leave the range of the cultivated territory, heading towards the distant location, Blood Crane territory. Blood Crane territory, located very far from the cultivated territory. It took over 100 days from the border to reach the mysterious land known as the Blood Crane territory. Finally here. Following the sensing of the Shadow Lord, and with the reference from the Starlight recorded space-time route map, Luo Feng arrived here quite easily. In the infinite primordial space, most mysterious lands are hard to find, their fame varies, and the powers they contain are different. The most famous, of course, is the Land of Eternity. The Land of Eternity has already sent an invitation to Luo Feng, and he has a seat there. However, the cultivated territory has not yet been fully conquered, and Luo Feng's celebration for becoming a lord hasn't been held, so he's not in a hurry to go to the Land of Eternity. Blood Crane territory is a mysterious land with relatively small fame, and it has only birthed 3 ancestor-level beings. Luo Feng observed the Blood Crane territory before him. Before him was an infinite blood sea, with creatures vaguely lurking within, all spying on Luo Feng. Blood sea. Seeing this endless blood sea gave Luo Feng a sense of familiarity. During the primordial cosmos period, he had a ghost sea avatar, at that time, proficient at transforming into a blood sea. Even after coming to the land of origin, transforming into a blood sea was a common technique for Luo Feng. Thus, seeing the blood sea made Luo Feng feel rather close to it. Since becoming a lord, I haven't needed to transform into a blood sea. Luo Feng thought to himself. In the weaker stages, he couldn't perfectly control his power, so he transformed into a blood sea, even forming a blood sea array. With perfect mastery, both physical body form and blood sea form are perfectly controlled, and they don't enhance his strength. The endless blood sea before me is much stronger than my body. Luo Feng sensed and felt this endless blood sea was alive, slowly flowing, with a very strong sense of threat. Luo Feng. A voice came from deep within the endless blood sea. Now that you have come to the Blood Crane territory, why don't you dare come in? Are you afraid? Afraid? Luo Feng chuckled. With his understanding of the primordial life and death Tao, Luo Feng instantly sensed all the creatures lurking within the vast Blood Crane territory in front of him. 3 ancestor-level beings, over 500 world-level primordials, and more than 30 billion high-level primordial life. At this moment, the 3 ancestor-level beings and over 500 world-level primordials could all see the outside and were all staring at Lord Luo Feng, who had come alone. "You 3 weak ancestors of the Blood Crane territory can make me afraid," Luo Feng scoffed. "If not afraid, then come in." Another angry voice sounded. "We 3 weak ancestors will see how strong you, the cultivator lord, can be." A third hoarse voice chimed in. The other 2 lords of the Blood Crane territory, though rarely active outside, would naturally not tolerate being attacked in their lair. HMPH. Luo Feng smiled. Boom! His body flew directly into the endless blood sea. Upon entering, Luo Feng immediately detected the uniqueness of the Blood Crane territory blood sea. This blood sea is formed by the perfect fusion of 3 highest-level powers. Luo Feng instantly judged, coinciding with the 3 major clan factions of the Blood Crane territory. The numerous creatures born from the Blood Crane territory excel in life, immortal, and shadow, the strongest of which are the Blood Lord, Crane Lord, and Shadow Lord. The blood sea, formed by the perfect fusion of 3 highest-level powers, is indeed much stronger than my blood sea. It encompasses the life, immortal, and shadow characteristics, more resilient and ubiquitous. Luo Feng sensed the gap. The 3 highest-level powers embraced by the Blood Crane territory are extremely strong in terms of life-saving. The combination of the 3 completely surpasses Wulan. In Luo Feng's view, if someone masters these 3 highest-level powers, their life-saving ability might surpass Initial. Initial merely achieves the ultimate in defense, but it might still be trapped. However, the shadow characteristic in the Blood Crane territory is ubiquitous. Mastering 1 highest-level power is already ancestor level. Never heard of someone mastering 3 highest-level powers. Luo Feng thought silently. Even among the cultivator lords, only Starlight mastered 2 highest-level Daos. Under the combination of Starlight's 2 Daos, his life-saving ability is also one of the top levels in the infinite primordial space. After all, he exists in both past and future. Even trapping him is impossible. These mysterious lands. The infinite primordial space nurtures source worlds which originate from the combination of multiple great Daos. The mysterious lands nurtured contain several highest-level powers, giving them various miraculous properties. For example, the infinite world can reflect any place in the infinite primordial space. The abyss of destruction can birth powerful destruction weapons. Source worlds have origin. Mysterious lands also have a core source. With his high level of life insight, Luo Feng vaguely sensed the source of power within the endless blood sea. First deal with the Shadow Lord. As Luo Feng flew into the endless blood sea, he analyzed the many characteristics of the Blood Crane territory's endless blood sea, probing into the mysteries behind it. But at the same time, he headed fully towards the Shadow Lord. The Blood Crane territory environment, limited in its impact on his strength. The Shadow Lord, Blood Lord, and Crane Lord all noticed this. The endless blood sea imposes a very strong oppression on outsiders. But as Luo Feng passed through, the blood sea naturally parted, providing little obstruction. He excels in life-based techniques, able to influence the blood sea power to a certain extent, said the Blood Lord. I said it before, there's no need to provoke the cultivator camp. In the infinite primordial space, we must avoid the 3 strongest camps. But Shadow, you insisted. Crane Lord was somewhat displeased. Didn't you use the resources I plundered? Shadow Lord retorted. I support you in plundering other weaker forces, but I didn't support you in provoking the cultivator camp, Crane Lord countered. Enough. Lord Luo Feng is coming here to fight. Let's join forces to meet the enemy, said the Blood Lord. I'll deal with this Luo Feng. I refuse to believe that, in the environment of Blood Crane territory, he can do anything to me. The Shadow Lord immediately took the initiative to attack. The Blood Lord and Crane Lord did not rush to take action. After all, any ancestor level, once deploying their true body, would have formidable power. With the life core inside, there is ample energy supply, allowing them to perform numerous techniques, with power surging several times. Without the life core, they would only have at best 30% of their power. The gap between having a life core and not having one is huge. Therefore, During war between the two camps, those ancestors either do not participate, or if they do, it's with their true body containing the life core. Without the life core, they would only hold back in battles of that level. Luo Feng flew through the vast blood sea, and the creatures born of blood crane territory kept far away, not daring to approach. Luo Feng also ignored those weak world-level primordial and high-level primordial. It's the Cultivator Lord. I've heard the Cultivator Lord is the most terrifying presence in the infinite primordial space. The innate primordial camp clashed with the 8 lords among cultivators and did not win. These world-level primordial beings were somewhat knowledgeable, having many avatars that had plundered in the cultivator territory. Naturally, they were aware of the latest intelligence. They dared not provoke this lord in the slightest. Facing this lord, even a mere look could lead to their annihilation. Boom! Luo Feng flew at super high speed. Approaching voluntarily. Luo Feng sensed a massive aura rapidly coming closer, much stronger than the Shadow Lord's avatar previously encountered in the cultivator territory. A massive phantom appeared ahead, its body seemingly condensed from countless shadows, a twisted giant with scarlet eyes watching Luo Feng. Luo Feng! The true body of the Shadow Lord let out a low roar, its aura vast, stirring up endless blood waves. After all, born of blood crane territory and mastering supreme power, Shadow, it can significantly mobilize blood sea power. If outside, even with the true body, I would be weaker than you. But in blood crane territory, my birthplace, you can't defeat me. The Shadow Lord's voice resounded through every space-time. Luo Feng looked at him, with just you. Why doesn't all 3 lords of blood crane territory come together? Arrogant. The Shadow Lord, enraged, its massive phantom body merged instantly with the surrounding blood sea. A mighty blood sea directly crashed and pressed over. HMPH. Luo Feng stood still, surrounded by the realm of life and death resisting these blood waves, the aggressive blood waves rushing through the realm of life and death, yet touched Luo Feng's surrounding protective energy layer. This protective energy layer is supplied with 1,008,000,000 origins. How is it possible? The Shadow Lord, utilizing the home advantage, mobilized the vast blood sea power directly assaulting. In the blood crane territory's environment, his power at least doubles. But at this moment, he could not break through Luo Feng's protective energy layer. When the two camps clashed previously, Luo Feng withstood attacks from dozens of ancestors, seemingly severely injured. However, in reality, the majority of the power was blocked by the protective energy layer. External observers, watching from the endless spacetime afar, only knew Luo Feng could endure. But they couldn't discern how much the protective energy layer contributed. Is this all? Luo Feng murmured, destruction. Luo Feng's body instantly erupted with endless power, using life sensing to lock onto the enemy, penetrate, and erode to annihilate the enemy. This eroding power, whether as threads, blade lights, or mist, endless, covering the sky and earth. Luo Feng's attack was to exploit the advantage of endless energy. The Shadow Lord had a strong survival ability, yet found Luo Feng's power difficult to expel, expelling 1 part drained 3 to 4 parts of him. This Luo Feng's power stayed at its peak, not declining at all. Among the innate primordial life camped siege, he could even help companions recover to their peaks. In terms of energy recovery, he's likely top-ranked within the entire infinite primordial space. In blood crane territory environment, I can't outlast him. The Shadow Lord realized, even with home blood crane territory energy supply, in the long battle it would lead to death for him. Kill. Shadows, omnipresent. Existing outside and within. Frightening power began the slaughter within Luo Feng's body. Helplessly, every part of Luo Feng's body was flawless, extremely formidable. The Shadow Lord's attacks initiated from within Luo Feng only caused minor injuries, which instantly disappeared. RIP, under Shadow Fusion, the surrounding spacetime seemed as parts of the Shadow Lord's body, spacetime tearing open directly. Also tearing at Luo Feng's body. Variety of attacks, both internal and external, omnipresent, attacking from every angle. However, Luo Feng remained flawless, with the core 1,008,000,000 origins as the most abundant, powerful, and stable part of his entire energy. Shadow's power, rather troublesome. Luo Feng extended a hand, revealing a knife in his grasp. Luo Feng stood in place, the sky-splitting saber in his hand transforming into dazzling blade lights. Each blade light contained 1/10,000th of his total energy reserve. In the blink of an eye, he slashed out hundreds of times, continuing to release blade lights tirelessly. His energy recovery rate completely kept up with the consumption. This is... Shadow Lord's heart trembled. He was everywhere, yet at this moment, every corner around Luo Feng was met with the terrifying blade light, which contained the power of life and death, so strong it made one tremble. The dense hundreds of blade lights crisscrossing heaven and earth instantly annihilated the entire surrounding blood sea. With me as the center, everything around me, all space-time, all things, without exception, destroyed. At this moment, Luo Feng stood in place, with only energy streams like boiling water around him. Even space-time was in the process of being repaired. This Shadow Lord can really hide well. Luo Feng scanned with his gaze, locking onto a distant place. Shadow Lord, wherever there was shadow, that was his territory. Where matter existed, it corresponded to a shadow. Thus the Shadow Lord could instantly appear in extremely distant places. Even though Luo Feng had just destroyed a vast surrounding area, it only lightly injured the Shadow Lord. No way to resist. Just tried a bit, and got hurt. Shadow Lord confirmed one thing: faced with the domineeringly powerful Lord Luo Feng, he could only hide. Seek the enemy. Luo Feng swung his saber again, and this time his blade light was a dark blade light, extremely subtle and soft. The blade light was restrained, following the fluctuation of the life chi mechanism, penetrating space-time and blood sea obstacles, managing to catch up with every bit of the Shadow Lord's life force, ensuring each slash hit the enemy. Under certain hit, the power of each slash had to be greatly reduced, at most only 1/10,000th of Luo Feng's energy reserve. When unleashing energy brutally, the power may be great, yet when dealing with Shadow Lord, who specializes in evasion, we can't even touch him. Luo Feng understood this, and when locking onto the life chi mechanism to ensure a certain hit, the power of each slash dropped significantly. Like Lord Minghuang, they can ensure certain hit and extreme speed even while burning the main battle avatar under a powerful attack, which is impressive. The primordial blade path I'm currently comprehending continues the fusion of life and destruction, primarily focused on destruction. Luo Feng pondered, the direction I seek must first be certain hit, then pursue power. Certain hit and power are the core pursuits of my primordial blade path. Whether facing the innate primordial camp or confronting the Shadow Lord, Luo Feng sensed the importance of certain hit. No matter how strong the power, if it does not hit the enemy, its function greatly diminishes. His origin Great Destruction is an indiscriminate attack that targets all directions. After using it once, any enemy who crosses swords with Luo Feng would guard against this move. With an extremely strong physical body, endless energy, allowing companions to quickly restore to pinnacle and considerable move power. These means they are already at the level of a normal lord. But Luo Feng was not satisfied. He wanted to compensate for his weaknesses, aiming to create a second path at the primordial level. Luo Feng swung out 1,000 dark blade lights at this moment, each dark blade light tracing the life chi mechanism, penetrating space-time and slicing the enemy. Shadow Lord was frightened and quickly retreated. These blade lights relentlessly destroyed his physical power. Even the blood sea could not recover in time. Swish, swish, swish. In the blink of an eye, he crossed over most of the Blood Crane territory range, arriving beside Blood Lord and Crane Lord. Ran pretty fast. Luo Feng also stopped. Even with life locking, his current move range was limited. Can't fight at all. Shadow Lord felt a bit aggrieved, looking at Blood Lord and Crane Lord beside him. Luo Feng's body is too strong. Before he teamed up with Wulan, assisted by the cultivator formation, he could withstand attacks from 100 ancestors. Now, even acting alone, I can't hurt him at all. Engaging him is purely taking a beating. With your ability, he can hit you. Crane Lord asked doubtfully. As long as within a certain range, even if changing positions constantly, you still can't escape his dark blade light. Shadow Lord shook his head. It's life chi mechanism locking. Blood Lord stated, he also mastered the highest level of life-type powers and could do life-chi mechanism locking, silently infiltrating the enemy. This Luo Feng is proficient in life-type powers, but he has mastered the Dao of that power, so he is stronger than me. Lords who master the essential Dao, with the same power, can exert stronger power. Lords can even create the most fitting physical body for themselves. Luo Feng has a strong body and fierce moves. Blood Lord said lightly, but the weakness is obvious, his movement technique is obviously weak. We just need to avoid him, and he can't touch us. Blood Lord, as someone who is skilled in life-type powers, also has weak movement technique, he understands Luo Feng's predicament well. However, Blood Crane territory is his hometown. Within the hometown's range, Blood Lord is far more flexible than Luo Feng. Always avoiding him? Shadow Lord asked. It's a bit frustrating. Crane Lord felt somewhat unwilling, as the Crane Lord who mastered undying power was fundamentally fearless in battle. Can you be stronger than the combined forces of dozens of ancestors? Blood Lord glanced at the two companions. Even if you two join forces, you won't be able to harm him at all. Crane! Don't think your physical body is strong enough. That great destruction burst from Lord Luo Feng. Even Giant God Emperor, Primordial Beast Ancestor, and Black Tide Ancestor didn't dare to resist directly. It even severely wounded 26 ancestors nearby. Are you sure you can withstand it? Crane Lord's heart trembled. In terms of protective skills, compared to Wulan, who mastered the primordial material Dao, Crane Lord was certainly inferior by a vast margin. If the three of us join forces and take advantage of our position, mobilizing massive blood sea power for assistance, I dare to fight him at close range. Crane Lord said, having witnessed Luo Feng's great destruction burst might, one-on-one still felt somewhat uncertain. Can you kill him? Can you cause him a little trouble? Blood Lord shook his head. If we can't pose a threat, then there's no need to engage in battle. We'll avoid him. He won't be able to reach us in Blood Crane territory, and naturally, he will give up and leave. He's already here in Blood Crane territory. Do we still have to endure? Shadow Lord was unwilling. All right, follow the elder brother's advice. Crane Lord could only nod. Because with only Blood Lord's assistance, supported by endless vitality, combined with his own undying ability, he dared to fight Luo Feng closely. Blood Lord didn't want to engage in a pointless fight, so Crane Lord could only endure. Luo Feng could sense that in the blink of an eye, Shadow Lord's true body had fled over half the Blood Crane territory's range, and none of the three were approaching, other three of them keeping a distance, unwilling to confront me. It must be admitted, with the three of them avoiding him, there wasn't much he could do. Unless, calling for help. For instance, inviting Starlight Lord, the #1 in time and space expertise of the infinite primordial space, with him, the enemy can't escape. Each Dao has its strengths and weaknesses. Though cultivator lords are strong, each can match the combined effort of 2 or 3 ancestors. Purely for survival, a single lord can withstand attacks from 10 to 8 ancestors. But truly one-on-one, to fully kill an ancestor, so far, no cultivator lord has managed it. In history, it has been the cooperation between lords that has eliminated all vitality of an ancestor. Since they are avoiding me. Luo Feng looked distantly, sensing the core source of this vast, endless blood sea power ahead, feeling both familiarity and curiosity towards the endless blood sea. After all, the blood sea power is formed by 3 types of highest level power, one of which is the life-type power. Even in the brief time in Blood Crane territory, Luo Feng deciphered 7 to 80% of this life-type power. However, he wasn't too impressed, feeling the life-type power was somewhat narrow. Time to check out the core source of this mysterious land. Luo Feng swiftly flew, penetrating the endless blood sea, heading straight to his sense location. He flew, getting closer and closer to the core source of Blood Crane territory. Boom! 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 Luo Feng gradually began to sense a kind of fluctuation, resembling the heartbeat of the entire endless blood sea, where the core source seemed like the heart of the endless blood sea. This heartbeat, Luo Feng just by sensing, felt pressured. In comparison to the endless blood sea of the Blood Crane territory, he himself was still much weaker. Interesting. Luo Feng became even more excited. He had heard that there are some dangers within the infinite primordial space, sufficient to annihilate a lord's main battle avatar. But as a lord, the Tao is part of oneself, undying and unperishable, fearless to investigate some mysteries. I want to see what's special about the core of a mysterious land. Luo Feng became increasingly expectant, having never witnessed the core of a mysterious land, as the mysterious land from the cultivator side, land of origin, was refined and controlled by Yuan. The succeeding lords were merely reinforcing various formations. Luo Feng flew swiftly all the way, crossing layers of blood waves. Where does he want to fly to? The three lords of Blood Crane territory, who had been avoiding battle, noticed something was amiss. He's quickly approaching the Blood Crane territory origin. Blood Lord, Crane Lord, and Shadow Lord's expressions all changed. For ancestors aiming for undying and unperishable status, there are typically two common methods. One is life core evolution. After reaching a certain level, the possessed ability can achieve undying and unperishable status, as in Initial, Mother of Space-Time, Inference Fire Ancestor. This is most common. The other is controlling a mysterious land, where life core can merge with the mysterious land origin. If the mysterious land is undestroyed, so is oneself. Infinite Snake Ancestor exemplifies this. Controlling a mysterious land also allows using parts of its power for one's benefit, as Infinite Snake Ancestor can render itself virtual, comparable in size to a cluster of worlds. It must be understood that Infinite World can reflect the entire infinite primordial space. Even if Infinite Snake Ancestor simply utilizes part of its abilities, the effect is boundless. Battling head-on fears no enemies. Does he intend to refine Blood Crane territory origin? Blood Lord, Crane Lord, and Shadow Lord had long desired to refine and control the Blood Crane territory origin, truly achieving undying and unperishable status. But refining is too difficult, and the three have been unable to accomplish it. Just like the Infinite Great Snake Clan, achieving Ancestor level ranks over 10, yet only Infinite Snake Ancestor can refine the Infinite World origin. In the Giant God race, reaching Ancestor level, including Giant God Emperor, not one has managed to refine the Giant God realm origin. The difficulty of refining mysterious land origin is evident. Can't let Luo Feng get close, stop him. The three lords of Blood Crane territory at this moment shared a unanimous opinion. The Blood Lord, the Crane Lord, and the Shadow Lord also understood that even if they allowed Luo Feng to refine the Blood Crane territory origin, the chances of success were still very low. Yet the Blood Lord, Crane Lord, and Shadow Lord did not dare to gamble. They were unwilling to even give Luo Feng the chance to attempt the refinement. In the past, there were some ancestors who came to our Blood Crane territory, but they couldn't perceive the Blood Crane territory origin at all. This cultivator Lord, Luo Feng, can sense it. Clearly, the Tao he has mastered is quite compatible with the Blood Crane territory origin. He should only be skilled in the direction of life, and is not proficient in the power of Immortal and Shadow. His chances of refining it are very low. No matter how low the chances are, we cannot let him get close. At this moment, the three lords of the Blood Crane territory cooperated, and under the leadership of the Shadow Lord, rapidly crossed the vast distance. Traveling alone and traveling with comrades makes a significant difference in speed. But it only took a few moments for the three lords of the Blood Crane territory to reach close to Luo Feng. Luo Feng, who was traveling at full speed, could sense the arrival of three terrifying presences ahead. All coming together? Luo Feng curiously looked ahead, where three terrifying figures were forming, none other than the true bodies of the Blood Crane territory's three lords. They were similar in size, but fundamentally different in essence. The Blood Lord had a lean, elongated body with a pair of scale armor wings, and its entire body was covered in a layer of exquisite blood-colored scales, each resembling a blood-colored crystal jade, beautiful beyond compare. The Crane Lord was a massive bird with silver-gold feathers, each feather like a weapon, indestructible. The Shadow Lord was a huge distorted shadow, with blood-red eyes staring at Luo Feng. Lord Luo Feng. The Blood Lord spoke. The Shadow's invasion of your cultivator territory was indeed his mistake. However, at the time, you were being attacked by the innate primordial camp, and the outside world believed you would fall, that your territory would be completely overrun. Therefore, it was natural for various factions to seize some worlds during the war. After the war ended and you drove him out, it was also justified. Our Blood Crane territory can promise not to invade the cultivated territory anymore. Can Lord Luo Feng let this go? Just a promise and you want me to let it go? Luo Feng looked at the three of them. What do you want? The Crane Lord looked at Luo Feng, somewhat annoyed. The resources you obtained in the cultivated territory, triple compensation to me, Luo Feng said. I can let it go. The Blood Lord, Crane Lord, and Shadow Lord hesitated. You must promise that after receiving the compensation resources, you will never set foot in the Blood Crane territory. The Blood Lord spoke. If you agree, we are willing to give you this compensation resource. The Blood Lord knew very well that he had mastered the highest level of life power, but Luo Feng had mastered the Tao in this area. In terms of refining the Blood Crane territory origin, Luo Feng's chances were likely higher than his. Such an opponent must be expelled, and he cannot be allowed to return to Blood Crane territory. Triple compensation is for not considering your invasion of cultivated territory. As for the Blood Crane territory, I'll come if I want. Luo Feng also realized that the previously arrogant Blood Crane territory's three lords were willing to pay triple compensation to make him leave, indicating that if he continued to advance, he might cause substantial losses to the three lords of the Blood Crane territory. These losses could far exceed 3 times the resources. Lord Luo Feng, Blood Crane territory does not welcome you, leave quickly. Crane Lord could no longer suppress his temper and shouted angrily. Give you 3 times the resources and you still won't leave. Do you really think we can't deal with you? The Blood Lord spoke coldly. Luo Feng grinned. Feel free to try. See if you can stop me. Take action. The Crane Lord emitted a piercing sound, already carrying endless blood wave to strike. The Blood Lord and Shadow Lord also struck simultaneously. Boom tilde tilde tilde. This time, the 3 lords of the Blood Crane territory simultaneously mobilized Blood Sea power, each had their specialties. Working together, the entire Blood Sea seemed to come alive completely. Endless surging blood wave rolled mightily, frightening in its power. The 3 lords of the Blood Crane territory join forces. The strength of mobilized Blood Sea power is indeed much stronger. Luo Feng was fearless. He had experienced the war between the 2 camps, so what was this scene? Boom! Luo Feng instantly drew his saber, and upon doing so, felt countless shadows binding him, and binding his sky-splitting saber. HMPH! Luo Feng's power burst forth, forcibly breaking through the constraints. A saber strike landed on the Crane Lord's body who had arrived near him. The Crane Lord had no resistance whatsoever, allowing Luo Feng's saber to slash at his neck. The feathers on his neck shimmered silver and gold. Luo Feng's formidable power at close range, under the numerous feathers actively dissipating force, only caused surface cracks in a few feathers, but they quickly healed completely. Rip, allowing Luo Feng to slash him, the Crane Lord's sharp claws grabbed at Luo Feng's chest, but when approaching, they were blocked by the protective energy layer, causing minor ripples in the protective energy layer. Both sides exchanged ferocious blows at close range yet sustained little damage. Whoosh! Luo Feng saw the Crane Lord in front of him suddenly emitting an extremely piercing sound, and simultaneously, its beak transformed into a golden afterimage, pecking fiercely. The protective energy layer on Luo Feng's body was pierced where it was pecked. Luo Feng's chest was also pecked, creating a bloody hole, but it healed instantly. Wow! The Crane Lord's body surface erupted with countless silver-white glows, each feather transforming into light, attacking Luo Feng at ultra-close range, but these feathers, though seemingly numerous, each did not have the power of that one peck, unable to penetrate the protective energy layer. Crane Lord, your undying body does have some capabilities in combat. Luo Feng praised. However, Crane Lord was quite unwilling, and only barely managed to wound Luo Feng with a full-force strike, creating a blood hole on Luo Feng's surface. But he knew very well that for a lord like Luo Feng, with terrifying recovery capabilities, what is a blood hole? The entire body could undergo complete catastrophic explosion, yet still manage to condense into a complete form in the end. This blood hole is truly just like a scratch. These lords who have mastered the Tao are terrifyingly strong in their specialties. Luo Feng's protective means are stronger than ours. Blood Lord transmitted mentally, we should follow the original plan and completely intercept him. All right. Crane Lord had no other options either. Actually, the three lords of Blood Crane territory excelled in the highest level powers of life, immortality, and shadows, all of which were directed towards self-preservation. This led to their remarkable resilience in terms of life force but resulted in a lack of prowess in killing enemies. Their proficiency in self-preservation brought one advantage: historically, many ancestor-level entities that emerged from infinite primordial space had fallen. Yet Blood Crane territory only birthed them three as ancestors, and the three were still alive and well. Due to their extreme survival capabilities, especially Shadow Lord's ability to come and go without a trace, they often went against weaker forces, and those weaker powers had no means against Blood Crane territory. This time, however, they provoked the cultivator camp. Boom tilde 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 tilde. The surrounding blood sea surged and completely shattered Luo Feng's realm of life and death, entirely enveloping him. Luo Feng resisted the blood sea using his protective energy layer. Crane Lord and Blood Lord both came closely to entangle in the attack, one with an undying body, the other integrated with the blood sea. Moreover, the power of shadow constrained Luo Feng at every point. Not just his limbs were affected, Luo Feng's entire body was influenced by the power of shadows. Really uncomfortable. Despite Luo Feng's strong physical body and the vast 10,008,000,000 units of origin energy, he was still troubled, tangled by the three lords from Blood Crane territory, and unable to fly and proceed. Get out of my way! Luo Feng's entire body erupted in blade light, but Crane Lord's massive body, giant wings eagerly embraced Luo Feng, entangling him, permitting the blade light to strike upon him. Even with slight injuries, Crane Lord instantly recovered himself. Given Crane Lord's undying body, the only thing he fears is another of Luo Feng's catastrophic explosion. Now, with Blood Lord's cooperation, even if severely damaged, he's confident he would survive. Amidst the endless blood sea, several avatars of world-level primordial quietly observed. This cultivator lord is truly terrifying. Even with Blood Lord, Crane Lord, and Shadow Lord joining forces, unaided by the infinite blood sea, they can only restrain him, unable to wound him. It's said that one cultivator lord can deal with several ancestors, and indeed it seems true. The cultivator camp is indeed powerful. These world-level primordials quietly observed, stunned by Lord Luo Feng's prowess. Fighting one against three in the heart of Blood Crane territory without any signs of weakness? Although the mysterious land of Blood Crane territory concealed the battle, shrouding various auras, several beings in the vast infinite primordial space still sensed the outbreak of this battle. A peculiar world entirely hidden, rendering any other life form in the infinite primordial space incapable of discovering it. Yet it can watch every part of the infinite primordial space. A gigantic eye appeared on the membrane wall of this world, curiously watching the battle at Blood Crane territory. This Lord Luo Feng, if he were outside, facing three foes without fear, then these three wouldn't be able to stop his steps. But within Blood Crane territory, aided by the power of the endless blood sea, Blood Lord, Crane Lord, and Shadow Lord gained at least 50% extra strength, and Lord Luo Feng is restrained, unable to advance further. In the cultivator camp, Starlight Lord uses the power-breaking technique, and so does this Lord Luo Feng. In the future, Lord Luo Feng might be even more frightening than Starlight Lord. It pays close attention to Luo Feng. From its experience, it could perceive that Luo Feng's moves contained the meaning of life and death. If this direction is pursued to the extreme, it indeed would be one of the most terrifying kinds in the infinite primordial space. Lord Luo Feng practicing power-breaking technique clearly possesses the potential to reach the extreme. Luo Feng went to Blood Crane territory. Numerous avatars of Starlight Lord observed the past, present, and future, witnessing the battle between Luo Feng and the three lords of Blood Crane territory. Luo Feng's primordial life and death Tao has deep research on life, with a sliver of hope to refined Blood Crane territory origin. Hence all three Blood Crane territory lords are fully obstructing. Starlight Lord smiled. Even as he watched the battle, he had no intention of lending aid. Among the 8 lords of the cultivator camp, they only collectively acted in face of significant threats to the camp. In usual adventures or vendetta skirmishes, they generally acted alone. Only when encountering significant trouble would they invite companions. If not invited, the lords would not interfere in companions' affairs. Within Blood Crane territory, the endless Blood Sea surged furiously, and Blood Lord, Crane Lord, and Shadow Lord fully obstructed Luo Feng. Other methods indeed can't break their obstruction. Luo Feng thought, and suddenly a multitude of brilliant stars-like origins flew out from his body surface. As many as 3,600,000,000 projects flew out. 3,600,000,000 origins formed a complete formation. These origins suddenly throbbed like hearts, then fully burst forth, causing a chain reaction of explosive power directed towards Blood Lord and Crane Lord. When the physical body is destroyed and 1,080,000,000 origin points completely explode, even with formation guidance, Luo Feng finds it difficult to perfectly control the direction. However, with only 30% of the energy reserve, most of the energy's impact direction can still be controlled. Not good. Crane Lord and Blood Lord were shocked. It seemed slow to say, but in fact, 360,000,000 origin points flew out and caused origin Great Destruction explosion. Although this was only 30% of the energy reserve for the whole body, it still could match all of Wulan's energy reserves. This explosive power was still very terrifying. A moment later, numerous feathers on Crane Lord's body began to shatter, and his entire body was blown back, but during the retreat, the injured body was quickly restored with the assistance of Blood Lord. Blood Lord completely merged into the endless Blood Sea, bearing much of the damage with the Blood Sea. The power isn't that great. Crane Lord sighed in relief after taking that blow. Having an undying body, what he feared most was Luo Feng's origin Great Destruction. But this strike was clearly much weaker than expected. The Great Destruction of 360,000,000 origin points is a lot weaker. Luo Feng also realized this point. At the Lord level, it's very difficult to enhance the power of a killer move. Like Luo Feng's 30% energy reserve, Great Destruction, the Giant God Emperor, Primordial Beast Ancestor, and Black Tide Ancestor can directly suppress it. To achieve a 60% energy reserve Great Destruction is needed to break their suppression and begin to injure them. 60% energy reserve explosion is the limit value of their suppression. Breaking through this limit, they have to resist, and the injuries will escalate rapidly. With a 10% energy reserve explosion, even the 3 would not dare block it, exerting all efforts to dissipate the power. Even so, each of the 3 Giant God Emperors is severely injured, further affecting many surrounding ancestors. The 10% explosion has Crane Lord with the undying body a bit frightened. 30%? Crane Lord feels it's still manageable. Boom! However, after defeating the obstructions of Crane Lord and Blood Lord, Luo Feng swiftly flew forward. Not good, stop him. Blood Lord and Crane Lord's expressions changed slightly, and Shadow Lord quickly carried them, intercepting Luo Feng in front again to entangle and restrain him. Whoosh! Crane Lord and Blood Lord just approached to block and restrain for 1 or 2 breaths, suddenly seeing dazzling dense origins flying out again. A total of 360,000,000 origins fly out again. The terrifying explosion appears again. Power overwhelmingly rushes towards them. Under the terrifying explosive power, Blood Lord could only merge into the Blood Sea from the blast, and Crane Lord was blown back even further. Luo Feng continued to fly. How is that possible? Can this move be used repeatedly? Blood Lord, Crane Lord, Shadow Lord couldn't believe it. But when they attempt to block again, they again witness that dazzling 360,000,000 origins flying out to explode, chilling their hearts. The 30% energy reserve explosion has 10% energy reserve that can be recovered. Actually, each time I only expend 2% energy reserve. In just 2 or 3 breaths, it can be restored. Including battle and travel time, in 2 or 3 breaths, a weakened version of Origin Great Destruction can be used. This power is enough to repel Blood Lord and others, allowing him to keep advancing. What to do? Blood Lord, Crane Lord, Shadow Lord were momentarily at a loss, silently communicating with each other but lacking any solution. With Luo Feng's 30% energy reserve destruction explosion, Crane Lord who held undying power could withstand it, doesn't mean the explosive power wasn't strong. This terrifying power is enough to repel all formidable enemies, blasting them far away. Can't stop it. We can't stop it. Blood Lord, Crane Lord, Shadow Lord hopelessly realized that every time they tried to block, they would ultimately face the explosion impact of 360 million origins, being blown back far away. Boom. 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 Wave after wave of terrifying explosive impact, Luo Feng continued advancing. After being blasted 39 times, Blood Lord, Crane Lord, and Shadow Lord stopped, no longer intercepting. They gave up, resigned. Because not far ahead was already the origin of Blood Crane territory. Arrived. Luo Feng also sensed it, the core source of Blood Crane territory was just ahead. This episode is end here.